property tax. It was $56,000. That's what the village received from property tax. Our issue was, and our issue is, that makes us unique from all the other towns, is we were collecting $56,000 a year, while other towns were collecting several $100,000 a year property tax. And from my understanding, if you just go from 1984 till now, that's 30 years of collecting that kind of money, although we was raised in 2012. That's 30 years that this village collected very little in property taxes, while the rest of the towns around us collected their just amount. That's how we got in this fix, and that's why no other towns have the problem we have today. And we decided to borrow money to pay everyday bills.
Actually, Dixmoor is a local town. They did go through this, and their solution was to cut the fire department. They're still a village, they still have a board, they still have property taxes, it's still a village. They had to cut their fire department and let the surrounding town take it.
Gary, who gives them fire protection then?
Chicago Heights, surrounding towns.
Like on a paid-on-call type of situation?
Just mutual aid.
Okay.
There are towns that have costs. Blue Island is not doing well either. They've had to go after tax anticipation warrants as well. Blue Island has also gone through some of these issues. They've had to go after the tax anticipation warrants as well. We're not the only ones that are going through this. So to answer your question, there are other towns.
At what point did you see this bus coming at you?
Myself, 1997.
All 6 of them.
1997.
So, in the last 17 years, you've let the bus roll over you how many
I've only
times?
been on the board for 2 years.
Well, I mean, at what point did this village see it coming? Because
Apparently they didn't want to see it coming.
I know for a fact that they saw it coming, and I know Terry spent money without coming to the board. And no one said a damn word to protect all of us in this room. They let him buy property after property after property, spending the money that was supposed to go for the water tower that everybody, oh, we need a water tower. You're damn right we need a water tower. Where is it?
Midlothian started deficit spending in 2004. 10 years of deficit spending. This has been coming for a long time.
And if I could clarify the property fact, that money was that property was bought with water bond money, because that's where the location of the water tower will go. The village has, and we've got these maps. As the mayor said, we've engaged with Hamilton Partners. I just came downtown again. But so the village purchased 10 acres. We've had all of this property appraised. It appraised at triple what we purchased the property for. That's what we're trying to do. That's what, Mr. Perkins, that's what we are trying to do with an anchor. That is what we are trying to do. It is absolutely what we're trying to do.
What you're asking for
Okay.
is not outrageous.
We spent over $9 million on roads and infrastructure. Well, where's the $31 on our water bill that's going for infrastructure going every 3 months?
Paying for the bond.
It's paying
For the bond.
Paying for the bonds.
That's not what we were told.
Yes, it is.
That's what we were told.
That's what you were told.
Well, if we're paying for the bond, then why are we so far in debt? Because you figure every 3 months, how many people live in the village of Midlothian and they're paying $31.50 every 3 months? Where's the money going? I mean, if it's going towards the bond, why isn't the bond going down?
That's how bonds work, sorry, unfortunately. And with water collections, if they're not being paid on a regular basis for residents, then that money's lagging also.
So why can we have it? So Ronnie, we're paying our water bill, and you put it down on the water bill that if you're 1 day late, it's an extra $30.
You already got it, I'm trying to get through some of the other. Right, but that's where the money is going, that's what that surcharge is that goes to pay the water bonds. Yes?
I believe it's correct to say that the ordinance that's in place says that the taxes, the levy can go up either the CPI or 5%, whichever is lower. Is that correct?
Correct.
The CPI hasn't been anywhere near 5% since tax caps were instituted in 1992. This year's CPI that they can use for the levy is 1.5%, which amounts to, against your last year's levy, about $55,000. That is not going to pay a $1.5 million bond in January of 15.
Thank you.
On that same bond question, if you don't mind, I do have some questions for my 22 fellow residents, and includes a few bond questions.
Go ahead.
Okay. On last Friday, on the 17th, there was a finance committee meeting, and there was a packet of information that was passed out. One of those documents is entitled Village of Midlothian Proposed Levy 2014. And in the column on the left, it shows, and those of you who have the packets of questions I passed out, that would be Exhibit C. And I'll email all this to all you guys tomorrow. I just ran out of copies. Okay, the column on the left shows the 2013 levy, which is total village funds is $3.7 million. Now, just with regards to the library fund, the only reason why the library fund is on here is because it's not a library district, is that right?
We have to.
So therefore, the library finances have to be rolled into the village finances. However, they are totally separate. So don't pay any attention to any library funds you see on any of these papers. Okay, so the village funds, the levy for 2013 was $3,722,000. As Evelyn said, if we stick with the 1.5% increase, that's only $55,000. It's not enough.
Correct.
But if we go to the 33% increase, which will bring the village $1.247 million, that supposedly would take care of things. But on this spreadsheet that was passed out at the meeting, it shows budget increases for corporate, which I assume is administration of the village hall and such. Okay, corporate, streets and bridge, which is public works, plus police and fire, all get a budget increase of about 55%. Now, I'm assuming that this money is going to be allocated for expenses that are being paid, okay? So I can understand where the 55% budget increase for corporate and public works goes, because that's going to cover some of this stuff. But 55% budget increase for police and fire, when we're drowning here,
That
why
is
your budget going
allocation.
to-
If you're looking at the levy, because I don't know what you're looking
Right.
at.
Here, I'll
It
show
is
you.
not,
this page, that paper, okay?
okay.
But
This is-
hold on, there's no line item on here specifically. Our understanding is that we need to raise the taxes. We need this $1.2 million to pay the $1.5 million bond payment. There's no line item on this document that shows that there's a line item allocation for any of this levy money to pay the bond. So where's the bond buried in those?
The bond isn't buried here because it's not on your taxes. We abate them in the village.
You abate what in the village?
The bond payments.
You don't pay it on your
We don't pay it out of the levy. Or otherwise you would see that on your levy and it would be being paid
So
by your tax
the
dollars.
levy
ready
is
to
going
go.
to be used to pay other things, and what are you going to use to pay the bonds? So
We
it
are-
sounds like a shell game.
No, we are obligated to pay all our indebtedness.
Right, I understand.
And because a levy is a document given to the county
Okay.
to allocate what taxes come to the village, the division you're looking at, that is not our budget, that is how it's going to be allocated.
Right.
That means where the funds are going to be put into spend.
Right.
That means when it goes to the corporate fund has got to cover the bond payments.
And I understand that, but why are police and fire getting a 55% increase?
There's the allocation.
It's an allocation, it's just where it divvies out to.
Mm-hmm.
It's not budgeted for that.
Tax is not a 55%.
Yeah,
Army's getting tired. My army's getting tired.
you already got to speak once, I'm supposed to not let you speak again.
Mayor?
I haven't let anybody else speak, some people haven't spoke once yet.
Okay, then I'll shut up.
For a while. Okay, all right. Yes,
It seems like we need to get in hustler mode, because if you increase anything I have 33%, my kids aren't gonna eat, and I'm sure as heck not going out to eat anywhere but Midlothian. So I mean, economically, it works hand in hand. Have you looked in to see what other mayors have done to generate revenue, like real revenue? One mayor opened up a gas station, the town owned it. They were able to decrease the average by 20 cents, and everyone got gas there, and they were able to put revenue in the town. You could build a grocery store and everyone would be proud to go there. We're desperate right now. And these little tax increases aren't gonna do it. And it's, it's something you guys should know that you're gonna be held accountable for all this. Everything. We'll be here to vote, and that's just the way it is. So that's all I gotta say.
Okay, I appreciate it. Yes, ma'am.
Can you open up the private country club to the public, generate more?
It is not our country club, it is privately owned.
To help out with the taxes. I mean, who do you talk to? Is there a board? Do they have a board?
Yes, they do have their own board.
And what? Their own board.
They're members of the country club.
But that's one of the things that's most connected to this town.
Thank you, thank you. Yes,
There's no doubt that Midlothian is in crisis, but 2 years ago, St. Christopher was in crisis, and they got themselves out of, they were, the people of Midlothian that got them out of hot water, but somebody took the initiative to stand up and say, this is what we have to do. Why can't we do something like that? And I understand you're here for ideas. Where are the ideas? How do we find the ideas?
okay, thank you. Is there anybody new that would still like to speak this evening?
I vote.
Gotta wait your turn. Got one more guy, got a couple new guys. Yes, sir.
How soon would the board vote on this issue if as trustee Ruth suggested that there's not a referendum? How soon would you guys be looking at voting on this issue?
We have a minimum of 45 days from this meeting before we can vote on this issue.
At least 45 days?
Mm-hmm.
I think what we're seeing here, what we're hearing here from the rest of the residents here, is a deficit of trust in this board. And I think what you guys need to do is follow his suggestion and build that trust over the next several months and put this out for referendum. And if you can make your case, basically, it's like selling something to the public. You've got to make your case for it. If you can make your case, then people will vote for it. If you can't, people won't.
Thank you for your comment. Is there anybody new who would still like to address the board? Yes.
I have a question.
Well, I got a lady in front of you.
You said there's $31 in every water bill that's being paid by Midlothian. What happens with all the foreclosed homes? Why don't the banks get to pay those? That's like $31,000 for 250 homes. That's one way. Two, why don't you charge every foreclosed home? Not the people that lost the homes, but the banks that own the homes. The one that's over there by Ellen's house. Every 2 years it flips over, it flips over, it flips over. So charge them a fee for every year or every month that thing is foreclosed, and it still has the same issue and the same problem. And you either pay it off or sell it back to you guys or do something so the banks are out of our town for foreclosed homes. Because the only person that is actually making money on those foreclosed is the bank, not us. And you guys need to utilize those foreclosed homes, not to hurt the people that are trying to buy them, but to get the banks to realize, to work with the people that are to stay in their homes so they don't have extra fees or anything.
Okay, thank you for your comment, and the lady behind who said I had a question.
Me?
Yeah.
I work for one of the businesses in town. Dr. Buck's been here 25 years, and I'm sure a lot of you know him. What are you going to do about keeping your businesses that have been here, to keep them here? I mean, his taxes are over $13,000 a year. So what do we got to do? Raise the prices for the patients and make them pay? Because people can't afford it. And he's trying to make it economical for the patients to keep coming into our office. But, what are you going to do about keeping the existing businesses that have been here, that supported this town for 25 years?
Thank you. Yes.
When I say regarding businesses, we need a lot more income. And all we're getting is barber shops and nail shops. They don't bring any sales tax. You gotta put your foot down and say no more.
No more dollar stores.
No more dollar stores.
Is there anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Would the new property taxes, would they be used to pay off the bonds, and if not, what are we using it for?
It would be used to pay the day-to-day operations, and in that token, we have to cover bond shortages. So it's kind of a catch-22. We know we're $1.2 million short. We know that our bond payments are $1.5 million. So whether it comes from sales tax, wherever it comes from, if there's a shortfall in any of the cash items, we've got to use corporate money, which would be the tax money, the property tax money.
And are we gonna like have any freezes or cutbacks within the village, or?
Well, like I said, we've been addressing the expenses here in the village. The fire department and police department, and actually everybody in the village took 0% because it's been, from what I can see, past practice is whatever the unions agree to, the rest of the village abides by. So there have been, for the past 2 years, there have been no raises.
Right, because I think the median income is in the 50s.
It is, but there's been promotions, so know that with promotions come raises, they just call them promotions.
Right.
And you're right, we make 58,000 is the average, and many of them, if you look on the website, you'll find make far more, and we're supposed to pay more. Even if they're dead.
Yes.
I think there's a few more ways to still save a few dollars. Cook County, when they were in trouble, when they changed leadership, and if any of you know county employees, they're still doing it. They have to take a week to 2 weeks furlough without pay. I worked at a different municipality that didn't have a deficit, but we were all asked, we weren't forced, and we saved $1.2 million a year. We all took a furlough, some a week, some 2 weeks. And you know, you don't go without pay because you take a little bit out of your paycheck every month that goes towards, so you still get your paycheck, but the village is saving that weekly salary. So that's kind of one way. And going back to St. Chris, so many people have donated $500 a year, $1,000 a year more. It wouldn't hurt to just put out all the stuff that you told us at the beginning and just put a box on the water bill. Would you like to donate towards our deficit? Rather than a tax raise, I'd rather give you a couple $100. Because if I'm going to sell my house, my taxes are going to be through the roof. I'd rather just give it to you. You know, so I think it's worth until this all. It's worth a try. You might get 5, you might get 500.
I appreciate the comment. Jean, did you have one more comment?
Yeah, it was about letting people know about the meetings. We get a phone call about a water main being broke, the trees being, the trees.
Yeah, red.
Why a lot of the residents don't have internet, a lot of the people are not on the internet, and a lot of the people found out about this meeting through the internet. And through people telling people and knocking on doors and meeting your neighbors and signs and what have you. Why wasn't a code red non-emergency phone call sent out to the residents of the town saying, hey, we're having a tax levy cap meeting, come and join us?
Good idea.
Yes.
Why can't they put it for the meeting on the board out there?
On the marquee?
Yeah, on the marquee.
We could do that.
They don't do it anymore, I'm sorry.
Okay. Yes, sir.
So the 33%, is that just paying the interest for the bond itself? It's not getting ahead, it's just paying the interest that's over here?
It's, the 33% would be used to pay operation expenses, which we fall, after bond payments and everything, that's bond and interest, principal and interest. It's 1.2 million is what we're short. Yes.
At 33%, I really think it's going to take a combination of eventually raising taxes, but along with other ideas. You can't go out there and say 33%, we're gonna raise, I mean, that's shocking. And what about the 156 homes that are in pre-foreclosure right now in Midlothian? What do you think that 33% is gonna do to them? That's gonna totally put them underwater and they're done. And now you're gonna have another 156 homes empty. And I like the idea of going after the banks, to start charging them fees and the water bill fees and stuff, make them pay that. Go to the banks. They
Thank you
should.
for your comment. Thank you.
I
Yes?
know it sounds crazy, but is there any way that you can go the other way, lower the taxes, to create incentive to have businesses come here? The government, but listen, if you have states like Indiana that's taking Illinois business, Modern Rock Forge has recently closed in Blue Island, to go to Indiana because their taxes are lower. And it's Wisconsin's done it, I mean, that's on a bigger government scale, but what about here? If you lower it and you get the tax revenue through volume rather than taxing people away from Midlothian, try and create incentive to come here instead.
Thank you for your suggestion. I appreciate it. Yes,
Has there been any studies at all on what is the minimum amount of fire release that the village can operate on?
Yes, actually, both our police and fire are at minimum staffing requirements. We are at minimum. Yes, ma'am.
Are you gonna publish when the date that you actually vote for this? Are you gonna inform us, like maybe you could ask the local businesses, inform them to put it on their marquees all over town?
Sure, I can do
So
that.
that we're aware of when this goes down?
Sure, I can do that.
Are we gonna be invited to the vote?
It's open public meeting.
We have it at the VFW?
I have a question for Mr. Keeling.
Hang on. Mr. Killily, go ahead.
Yeah, right.
How much more would you be willing to pay for a business license?
The business licenses went up last year. For the
How much
reservation.
more would you be willing to
Yeah,
pay?
I think business licenses are still cheap, and we've talked about, and.
How about $300? $600?
I don't know. I'm looking.
3,000. So far, he hasn't said no. When he said no, back off $1.
I mean, there's been proposal to raise licenses on some businesses that are only service businesses, which don't provide any sales tax revenue to the village, and I think that's the type of thing too.
I'm going to hate myself for saying this, but one day Tom Murawski said to me, which was a very good idea, make the apartment buildings businesses, license them so they have to operate and be inspected so they don't become dumps.
They are currently being inspected. They do get inspected.
Make them a business because people are making business, the owners are making a profit off of it. They should run a
Thank you for your
because
suggestion.
they can't pick it up, that's not my suggestion, Mr. Murawski's.
Yeah, that's okay. Yes, sir.
I've heard a couple comments regarding, cuts, furloughs. I was there when the last administration wanted furloughs. I gave furloughs. I've already been there. Gave days off, gave my money back. 51% of these village employees live in this town. So if you're going to, I personally, I agree with the real estate tax. It's deductible on my taxes, at least I have that. If you're gonna raise everything else, you're still getting it out of my pocket. Okay, if you're gonna raise my water, you're gonna raise my vehicle sticker, you're gonna raise the sales tax. Okay, well, you might not get the sales tax, I'll just push it. Okay, but if you're gonna tax me and cut me, reduce pay, this, that, the other thing, now you're taking it out of both of my pockets. 51% of the people that work for this village live in this village.
Where does the other 51%
Are there any other public comments? Yes, ma'am.
This may be stupid, but of all of you sitting up there, there's 6 votes that need to pass this or to.
5 out of 6.
So 5. In other words, we have no idea what you're thinking now. This might all be a moot point. Is our goal today to convince you to change your minds? We don't know are 6 of you saying yes? 1 says no. 2 are saying no, so really this is, it's not gonna pass, so is our goal to try to change minds or just to offer suggestions?
This is for us to be able to hear you so we can make the decision 45 days from now. That's all.
Take a vote now and say no.
I can't. It's in their rules in the ordinance, I can't.
No, but they can make their positions known, so that way we can address, for example, if people want to disagree with Gary, meaning Gary made his position quite clear. So if we want to go ahead and either support him or disagree, that's now available. To expect that out of each and every member of this board who wants the authority to pass the vote, to maybe not do an official vote, I get it that we can't by law, but to do a quick roll call of go ahead on the record, where are you at least October 22nd, 2014? What is your position? And then leave it to us to help persuade you if we disagree or agree with you and help you pass your position.
Actually, we cannot do something like that, even in like a straw vote or anything. And that's not why I brought the trustees here this evening anyways. It was to hear your input and to hear what you're saying about this situation. I don't expect them to make up their mind today. That's why they have the 45 days to think about it.
You have 45 days to change my mind.
I don't want to change your mind. I agree.
Well, for one thing, we don't just want to change our minds, we would like to come up with a solution to the
Right.
problem.
Yep.
We don't want to have to go through this again in a few months.
Yes, sir.
Could there be a meeting before the 45-day period up, in case we make any concessions based on the comments that were made here tonight?
No decision will be made prior to the 45 days.
I mean, could there be another meeting before 45 days?
We could have a town, like some kind of town hall meeting, is that what you're suggesting?
We
Because-
probably need several town hall meetings, not just one.
Yeah.
So we make an educated decision on how to go forward.
So you got a lot to think about.
Right. They do.
Well, we have ideas and we're not hearing your ideas, so that's why we think we need more meetings. We have ideas that we would obviously take too much time to share ideas, so I guess we have to have a separate meeting. Sorry, you guys, that we had our pre-meeting, we have to have a separate meeting.
Yes.
I have 2 points. One point is our transfer taxes when people either buy or sell a house. Is that for people coming into the village or leaving the village?
Both.
So there is a tax.
No, we don't have, it's only a stamp, it's free. We do not have
Stamp is free. Most municipalities charge some kind of transfer tax to either move into the village or move out of the village. I think a good way to raise money is you got to charge when you leave the village. Encourage people to come in, but if they're going to leave our village, you charge them $500. Usually it's like $750 for $1,000, whatever the sale price is. You can raise revenue that way. Another observation I had.
If everybody would quiet down.
Is I think most people here want to pay bills down instead of just paying and never having them paid off. I think one of the solutions, if we're going to raise taxes, pick one of the bonds and say, if you pay an extra $15 a year, $20 a year, whatever it is, put it towards the principal, pay it down faster. When that bond is paid off, you move on to the next one. Let's pay our bills off, and then we don't have to worry about taxes, or we can, revisit it 5 years from now and maybe lower taxes. Let's see an end in sight instead of we're going to raise the taxes, but there's really no end in sight. In 5 years, we're probably going to have to raise them again. Just an observation.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Yes, ma'am.
When you're asking for this 33% increase, is this strictly to pay off our debt, or does it also include raising salaries for our employees?
It is to pay operational expenses.
Which is? What's the definition?
Day-to-day functioning up here, buying new equipment we might possibly need, paying our employees,
People that never haven't gotten a rate increase in a few years. Now we're going to be able to have our employees get a yearly increase in salary?
No, it's a contracted, negotiated contract that I did with the police and fire unions. And like I said, all the other departments fall in line of what either of the union contracts say.
Is this the only solution the board has come up with?
We've actually had a lot of solution and a lot of discussion, and this is the one that seemed to have the most merit to it.
What were some of the other solutions? Is there any way that you can vote on those solutions? Maybe a couple different ones.
Well, like I said, there were different suggestions about trying to put new assessments on, trying to raise, put a service tax on a service industry business, can't do it. I don't even know what some of the other ones were. There've been more sales tax, more liquor tax, cigarette tax,
Doubling the vehicle stickers.
doubling the vehicle stickers. They've entertained quite a few ideas, so,
Mayor,
yes.
this man talks about.
I know, we're gonna let you.
I'm only allowed to talk one.
You can talk twice. I'm sorry.
Now, the reason I want to talk is very simple, because it's my last name, like Kirsten, you know. But me too, I'm almost 90, so I don't worry too much. I worry about the children and grandchildren. But to tell you the truth, in 2003, I went to my wife and I said, dear, we should move. Why? I love it here, I like it here. Well, when you're married for over 60 years with a woman, I'm now 65 years married, so if you want to have peace in the home, you let Mama have her way. That's very simple. I learned that a long time ago. So, what I want to say, she didn't want to move because she had her friends there. She was playing twice tennis a week. And I love it here. Okay, he said, Mama, I know what's coming. You know, like I said, I listened to Milton Friedman, and he spelled it out, piece by piece. That's the reason I'm not in trouble. You know, a lot of people are in trouble. My wife lost $65,000, but we're still alive. But I'm thinking of people who not are able to pay. Old people, like me, they cannot pay. That's what I think about. So the thing is this, if you look at the picture, I started here 35 years ago with $800 paying on tax. Now I pay 900% more. I pay almost $7,200 because the mayor, previous mayor, elected me, and he said, you are an elite because I live on country club grounds. I didn't know that. I was promoted by the mayor. But what I want to say is, I wanted to go 2003, and about a lot, my brother was living here, and I said, if you're smart, you move, and he moved to Texas. Sold his house here, but what I want to say, the thing is this, I know the predicament right here. You're up against the wall, you know, and you try anything and everything, but like those people and like me, we're paying, I can afford it, like you know. Otherwise I wouldn't be here. But the thing is very simple. Those people, you talk about the tax increase, they have already problems paying for it, you know. So you got to think in there, adopt them and say, listen, I understand, you know, but we had a mayor here before, and I gladly would give that man a half hour on television. And I give him 20 minutes and I take 10, because he is the problem of all your problems. But he walked away. Look, I told you when we elected you, because he said to my wife, you come along the vote. Too many friends by the mayor. So that's the reason, Katrina, I talked to you, nobody remember? I said, I want you to be Mama Thatcher. Remember her? Right. Mama Thatcher knows how to handle it. 3 minutes. And I wish you all the luck in the world.
Thank you, sir.
And that's all I want to say.
Thank you, I appreciate
I
it.
go home and rest.
Thank you. Yes, in the back.
All right, we've had this discussion tonight. I know you guys vote in 45 days. What are we doing tomorrow? What's our next step from here? Do we not talk anymore?
No, absolutely.
Will you publish your speech on the line tomorrow morning, first thing?
I can do that, sure.
Cool.
I'll
Yeah,
go next.
go ahead.
On our tax bill, we have the library, the park district, and then the village.
Right.
Has, in one of the solutions that you've talked about that we haven't heard, has the village considered possibly taking over the park district? There's an extreme amount of salary that goes into our park district. Has the village considered possibly taking over the park district and saving some of that?
I think that would have to go for referendum. Right, and they're a separate taxing body.
Well, can't we vote to combine them?
Right, right, they're on a tax.
If we were to take them over, we would just be responsible for what they're paying. So we would lose them having the ability to be self-sufficient.
You wouldn't need as many
There might be
employees.
some control of their spending then.
That would not be under the guidance of this board, that would be under the Park District Board.
Not if you took it over though.
Right, no.
They're always commingled. There's so much commingling between the park district and the village. People are getting double pay, double pensions, the village.
I'm unaware of that.
Name one person.
I'm unaware.
Why
Are
name?
you defensive?
One person. Name one person that's getting 2 pensions. Your village and the park district. Can you name a person?
That's getting 2 pensions?
Yes.
Not from the park district, no. But there's people
From the
that get
village and
double
the park
pay.
district, that's what you said. Name one person. Name one.
I don't have one from the
Oh,
park district.
really? No facts to back it up? I'm shocked.
Calm down, Evelyn, I wasn't.
No, I'm not gonna calm down.
Please, everybody take a breath. I know it's been a long night. Yes.
Maybe you could raise the tax just a little bit, and then think of the money elsewhere, like 2% together.
Thank you. Okay. I appreciate your comments.
Who cares?
Is there anybody else who would like? Gentleman, I'm sorry, sir.
What part is gambling maybe had in all this? Haven't heard, like, how much is the village collecting from that? Maybe you could raise the fees for all that stuff? I don't know, I know a lot of the places around here.
They have the
gambling,
gaming
so
machines. I believe that's
What
set by
part
the
is that
state.
playing in all that?
That's set by the state. We just get our cut that the state says we can have.
We manage and the I don't know how that works.
Yeah, we actually are maxed at the licensing we're allowed to get for each machine.
Okay. You
Yeah.
can't increase, as
We cannot, that's guided by the state.
like, but increasing the amount of machines. You guys sitting on any of them?
No,
I don't know how they.
Yeah, no, that's also given by the state. Yeah, but thank you.
Because we're home rule, we can charge up to $500 per machine, and we do. So each machine that's in each establishment pays $500 per machine.
Per year?
Yes.
Can you raise that?
No.
And then in addition to the $500, do we also get some kind of sales tax?
We do, and actually, if you go to the Illinois Gaming Board's website, you can find out for any municipality in the state of Illinois, all the data